Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Lady Black Kaleidoscope Project. I'm so excited about today because it's day 4, and you know what that means in my life. Literally in my life. Haha. I'm talking about the Beatles. These guys, the Fab Four: John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr. John, Paul, George, and Ringo. They're like a four-headed monster. So, but they're not a monster. I mean, well, anyway. Um, so that's what we're going to talk about today, and I'm so excited. Ever since I planned this project, I was just like, I have to talk about the Beatles because I'm going to be talking about them throughout this whole series. So I might as well get it over with and talk about them early, so people won't be like, "Why is she so in love with the Beatles?" So I'm going to tell you, and it's going to be a fun journey for hopefully you, but it's definitely going to be for me. So, because I love talking about Beatles, so because I love them. So, some of you might be wondering how and why a black exennial woman loves a band of 4 white guys from the 1960s. Because they're awesome. So my introduction to the Beatles was through watching Shining Time Station on PBS. I probably a lot of exennials and maybe some millennials would remember that show. It had the little conductor who was played by Ringo Starr, who would read the stories of Thomas the Tank Engine, which I love that. So that was my first formal introduction to a Beatle. Being in a post-Beatles world, you know about the Beatles. Everybody, you hear about them, through, at some point, every generation since the baby boomers has been introduced to the Beatles in some way, shape, or form. At some point, we all will be. So because they're just timeless and they will last as long as the Earth exists. So, which hopefully is a long time. Because I think the Beatles, they're in like a time capsule that we sent out to space because they would want to know, what do they do? What is this music? It's amazing. It's the Beatles. So fast forward to 1995 when I was in 7th grade, and the Beatles Anthology, which was a 6-part documentary series authorized by the Beatles, that came on, and my whole family, my mom and my grandmother, who both loved the Beatles. I mean, they saw them firsthand. They saw them on Ed Sullivan when they debuted on February 9th, 1964, a day before my birthday, 19 years earlier. My mom probably didn't think that she was going to have a baby 19 years later, a day later. But anyway, so my birthday. We'll talk about it in another episode. But anyway, so we all sat there, watched the Beatles Anthology. It was great, the first part. The second part, I remember Mom's like, we got to go to Acme. I'm like, really? We got to go to Acme? Acme's a supermarket in the Philadelphia area, just in case you don't know. And I was like, this is the Beatles. I want to watch. She's like, well, we'll get back in time. We'll be able to do it. Of course, we didn't get back until 20 minutes before the Beatles, before the show went off. And I was so pissed. And that's when the Beatle bug hit me. That's when I got it. I got the Beatle bug. It was incredible, and I have not recovered ever since. I am a true Beatlemaniac for life, forever. I love it. So ever since that moment, waiting for, waiting for us to come back, I was just like, oh my God, the Beatles, and I've been ever since. It was the first CD I got, everything. So, why? It's just when you're an adolescent, you're always looking for an identity. You're always looking for a group or something to attach yourself to, because I think that's just adolescent. That's just a part of adolescent development. Some people, they find cliques and groups and things to be a part of. And for me, it was the Beatles. Something about their music just touched me right in my soul, and it just felt familiar and it felt right. And not that I always was exposed to a lot of different types of music, but something about the Beatles at that moment in my life just totally changed me. And it changed my life. It changed how I looked at things. It changed my worldview. And they were so hopeful and so optimistic and so energetic and young. I mean, they got together in 1957. John met Paul, I think July 6th, 1957, in Liverpool. And then they broke up like 1969, 1970, and then they got big in America in 1964, and they released 14 albums, at least British albums. And so I'm going to geek out this entire episode, so you might as well just, fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be an amazing ride. And they were together for that, but they released 14 albums in about a 7-year period, and it was just incredible songs and everything like that. So they were so diverse. They kind of helped me build my kaleidoscopic identity, because they were so kaleidoscopic. I mean, they were influenced by so many different things, country and standards and and rock and roll and blues, and they had so many different things. They were some of the first. They were like the first. Probably them and the Rolling Stones were the first, British artists, or just artists in general, that acknowledged that they were influenced by black musicians, because in the U.S. that was taboo, but they were like, no, we were, the Beatles would not play in front of segregated audiences. So they were so ahead of their time, and I just loved that. It just appealed to me, and it still appeals to me, and that's why I like them. And they're rebellious, and they just opened me to so many so many different types of music I learned through them, and through loving them so much, and I'm so grateful to them for that. Okay, so what did the Beatles mean to me during my high school and college years? As I said before, it gave me an identity. I was known as the Beatlemaniac, the resident Beatlemaniac in middle school, high school, and probably college too, because I was just so in love with them, and I was the easiest person to buy for, because you could just get me Beatle gifts. You can still get me Beatle gifts, and I'm like, yes, I don't care if I have a duplicate of it, doesn't matter. I'm like, yes, Beatles, 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 Beatles. I said that like 4 times, but anyway, they were everything, and so I wrote papers because of the Beatles. My college application essay was on the Beatles. It was about how the Beatles brought my mom and I together, which was great, because my mom loved the Beatles and then I love the Beatles. Typically, parents and children, they clash. I mean, of course, my mom and I clashed for other reasons, but it wasn't because of music. It wasn't because of that, which we were both. I mean, she was an appreciator of music. I actually, am a musician. So we didn't clash about that, and it really brought us together because it was her music from her time, and it just brought us together. So they got me into college. So thank you, John, Paul, and George Ringo, for getting me into college, and which was a great experience for me. And then in high school, I think I probably drove everyone crazy. I think I drove my music teacher crazy, because I was just talk about them all the time, and I was so excited because we got to sing Imagine in Glee Club, and then Chorale, which was a select Glee Club. We sang In My Life. We did it a cappella, and I was just like, oh. So that was the introduction to a cappella, through the Beatles, singing that song. I got into I got interested in college a cappella, because that's how we got the song, through one of my friends, her sister's group. We got the arrangement from them, and so that kind of turned me on to a cappella, and I ended up doing a cappella in college, which will be for another episode. But anyway, they just opened my, and it allowed me to connect. Since I was in predominantly white schools, inadvertently, it allowed me to connect to white people, and it allowed me to make friends, and because I had something in common. Everybody knew the Beatles, particularly white people. They, their parents grew up with the Beatles, and it really helped me connect with them, which was very helpful. And stuff. But at the same time, on the other side, it alienated me from my black peers, because it was my thing. It was the thing that I was obsessed with. And a lot of black people at that time, in my generation, they didn't either know the Beatles, they might have known them, but they didn't like them. So there was always kind of I couldn't talk about it too much. And I still kind of feel uncomfortable, unless I'm talking to like people my parents' age, my mom's age, because they knew the Beatles. They grew up with the Beatles. So, one of my mom's friends thought it was interesting that like someone my age would be so into the Beatles, because she's like, that's our music, And so it got me into college. As I said, it opened me up to so many other different kinds of music, and it defined me, particularly in high school. But in college as well, I kept on. I listened to other things. They helped me, as I said, they helped me expand my knowledge, because as I said, their influences were so diverse, and they influenced so many different people throughout. I mean, everybody has been influenced by the Beatles, whether they want to admit to it or not. As a musician, in some way, shape, or form, all who have followed them have been influenced, especially in popular music, have been influenced by the Beatles. So, yeah. Okay, so what do the Beatles mean to me now as an adult? It's evolved, of course. I have grown. So, one of my friends is like, "Do you still like the Beatles?" That same friend that asked my mom, that thought it was interesting that I was into the Beatles as a teenager, asked my mom, "Is she still into the Beatles?" And my mom's like, "Yes." And I said to my friend, "Yes." Yeah, I mean, they are everything. I mean, they're like my security blanket. They're my best friends. They're my 4 best friends, um, they're like my brothers. They're family to me, because I can always, if I'm feeling sad or down, or I want to be up or whatever, there's a Beatles song it's like there's an app for that. There's a Beatles song for that, for any situation. Because there's just so many different songs, and they're so diverse. And John, Paul, George, and Ringo, they all were so different, but they all kind of worked together. I mean, they all had a similar background from Liverpool, but they all worked together. And that was just amazing. It's just such an example of way to live, the Beatles way. It's just the way that they were and how they lived their lives was incredible. And so it's been incredibly influential even as an adult. I mean, now it's different. And also the Beatles listening to the Beatles reconnects me with my younger self, with my adolescent self, which was just passionate and on fire. And I'm still passionate and on fire about things, but it's just that raw passion that you have when you're adolescent. It's just that raw energy, because you haven't learned to kind of control it. Of course, I'm more controlled now, but reconnecting with myself by listening to the Beatles music and just hearing it now, and just, it's always interesting hearing music throughout your life, because you're going to look at the music a different way because you have lived. And it's incredible. So they still mean everything to me. I'm still a Beatlemaniac. I mean, I still wear my shirt, and yeah, they mean a lot to me. They still do. Have I made any pilgrimages to any Beatles sites? And have I seen any concerts of any of the Beatles in person? I answer the first one first. I have not been to London or Liverpool. Not at all. Every single time I tried in my life, which is the song by the Beatles, every time I tried, it always fell through. I wasn't able to do it. But the night is still young. After Corona, maybe that's what will be my treat to myself, to go to London and finally see the Beatles, and finally go to, Mecca, the Mecca of, go to Liverpool and see where it all starts. That will be an experience. I would just be like, oh, there it is. Oh my God. Like I will totally fangirl out and just like freak out. People would just be looking at me, whatever. I don't care. Like I have been waiting my whole life to like go to Liverpool and go to London to see these, just to be where they walk. And I mean, well, Paul still lives there, but like, just, oh, wow, this is amazing. Yeah, I'm totally fangirling, but what are you gonna do? So, but I have been to Strawberry Fields in New York City. I went twice, once with my Beatle friend, Marianne from high school. And then my friend Erica from college. I went my freshman year of college with Marianne, and then my friend Erica senior year. I don't know why that took me so long. Senior year. And so that was fun. And it was just so cool to like sing all these Beatles. We were, I think freshman year, we were in the rain, and we just all were together singing the songs. I think I was the only black person there, any person of color, but it was just so awesome just being with this community of people who just loved the Beatles, loved John, and it's in Central Park. It was created by Yoko to commemorate Yoko, which was Yoko Ono, which was John Lennon's wife. She did that to commemorate his life, and it says it's like this mosaic on the ground. It says "Imagine," which is one of his songs, and he was shot right outside of Strawberry Fields in their apartment in the Dakota building, right outside the apartment in the Dakota building, in 1980, and he was assassinated by a deranged fan, and who's still in prison. I'm not sure he's dead. I don't know, but anyway. So it's still there. You can go. It's at 72nd and Central Park West, in Central Park. Still there. The building's still there, and then the Strawberry Fields is still there, which is where I went with my friends. And so, yeah, I haven't seen them in concert. I haven't seen Paul. I haven't seen Ringo, in person. But I have, seen them from, I saw a cover band in Disney World, and that is I actually talked about that in my essay getting to college. My mom and I were sitting, excuse me, I'm gonna drink some water. So my mom and I were at this concert in Disney World. And it was amazing. My mom and I, it was such a beautiful moment between me and my mom, because we were singing and dancing, and we were like, I think it was just us there watching them. And it was just so fun. We had so much fun. And it was that was a wonderful memory. I think we did it twice when we went to Disney World twice. Each time we went to that concert, and it was so good. It was so much fun. It was just, and they sang all these different songs, and it was amazing. So that was cool. So hopefully I get to see Paul or Ringo, at some point, hopefully very soon. Anyway, most important questions. Favorite Beatle, favorite songs, favorite album, favorite movie, and favorite period. Period meaning period of music that came out. So my favorite Beatle, typically you would, inherit your favorite Beatle from your parents. If you're a Beatlemaniac, my mom's was and still is Paul. So I did like him, and I still do, of course. But my favorite is John. John, he was just an iconoclast. He was a badass. He was a feminist. He just was so ahead of his time. I mean, all the Beatles were ahead of their time. But I loved John's. He was just raw, and he was vulnerable, but he had a hard edge. So I guess I could relate to him in that way, because I'm kind of like that, kind of tough on the outside, but soft on the inside, like an M&M. Someone told me I was like an M&M. So, yeah. So I could relate to John a lot more, because he was just a badass. I like to think of myself as a badass. But, and so, he was just my favorite Beatle, and he was amazing, and he's just, all the Beatles are great. I mean, it's hard to choose, because they all bring something different, and, it changes every day. I really appreciate George for his spirituality. I appreciate Paul, of course, because he was cute, and just his work ethic. He's a hard worker. And then Ringo, just because he's Ringo. Like, everybody loves Ringo. He's such an easygoing, positive, happy person who's and they're all incredibly talented musicians. Awesome. Favorite songs. My favorite songs mostly are by John. So my top 5 favorite songs are Baby You're a Rich Man, Hey Jude, and Baby You're a Rich Man. So number 5 was Baby You're a Rich Man. Number 4 is Hey Jude. They both end like chaotically and crazy. And I love it. I love that about them. So Hey Jude's by Paul, Baby You're a Rich Man is by John. And the last three are all John songs. So number 3, She Said, which is on Revolver, 1966. I Don't Want to Spoil the Party, which is, that's number 2. That's from 1964. From Beatles for Sale. And number 1 is Ticket to Ride. Great song, so fresh, amazing. Google it, watch Ticket to Ride, especially if you see it with Help. It was in the Help movie. It's on the Help soundtrack. Incredibly fresh song. It's a badass song. Just great. But all the songs are so great. So it's like choosing between children. It's like, there's 140 something children to choose from, and that's hard. It's really hard. Same thing with albums. They're all great albums. Listening from how they were in 1962 to how they were, in 1969. I mean, this is incredible. But my favorite album is Beatles for Sale. This is the cover from the CD. It was made in the fall of 1964, and as you can see on the on this cover, they look kind of tired and it's called Beatles for Sale because they felt like they were on sale. They had just had a whirlwind year going all over the world. They broke out in America. They did Hard Day's Night. This album is full of, there's 8 original songs and 6 covers. Their previous album, Hard Day's Night soundtrack, had all original songs by Lennon and McCartney. So this one, they call it the country album. I know a lot of Beatle fans, they kind of overlook this album because it's just like, Beatles for Sale. But I love it. I'm kind of a rebel, so I tend to love the things that people don't look at. And then I get mad when they become popular. But I love the album. It's like, Beatles albums are actually, they're all pretty short. They're not super long. They're like maybe under 45 minutes. They're not super long. A lot of the songs are like 2-3 minutes. So they're quick listens, and they're great listens, of course. So I would, give, Beatlemaniacs, Beatle fans, give Beatles for Sale a chance. It's a good one. It's just a fun, rollicking, kind of quiet, but country flavored album, because there's like 2 Carl Perkins songs and stuff. That's the guy who did Blue Suede Shoes that Elvis covered. So, it's a great album. Okay. Movie. Magical Mystery Tour. Great. It's a psychedelic, wacky, crazy film, where it was just insane. It was made in 1967. They just filmed themselves like, going on this like crazy, like beer drinking thing to see the Northern Lights. It was the plot was crazy. It was absurd. It was ridiculous. They had all these like circus people. It was just like it was definitely of its time. 1967, Summer of Love, all that stuff. So, it's a fun watch. It's kind of a hot mess, but it's wonderful. It's a great movie to watch. Period. Musical period. The most revolutionary period started from Beatles for Sale, which is my favorite album, ending with Magical Mystery Tour and a soundtrack to that. Incredible album. It's an incredible period. The Beatles Anthology Volume 2 gives a lot of behind the scenes of alternate takes and outtakes and alternate versions of songs. It's just incredible. You get to see like genius at work. And so I would definitely recommend that album as well, Beatles Anthology Volume 2. So, two last things. This is a great book called Beatles A to Z if you are interested in the Beatles and you want to learn more about them. And if you're a Beatlemaniac, it's like me, it's another Beatle book. It's fun, it's colorful. There are a lot of facts that you probably already know that I definitely already knew. But this is a great introduction to learn about the Beatles, so you can look it up on Amazon or wherever you go and get books. So I support mom and pop shops, so do that too. So absolutely. Anyway, so lastly, I am going to end with lyrics from All You Need Is Love, with which is and which is by John Lennon and Paul McCartney, but it's a John song. He wrote it. So with everything that's going on with the pandemic, with a lot of unrest, which has been happening for the last several years, this is a timeless song. It's always appropriate, and these are the lyrics. I'm not going to sing it. I'm not going to play you a clip of it. Like, here it is. So, love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. There's nothing you can do that can't be done. There's nothing you can sing that can't be sung. There's nothing you can say, but you can learn how to play the game. It's easy. There's nothing you can make that can't be made. There's nothing you can save that can't be saved. Nothing you can do but learn how to be you in time. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love, love. Love is all you need. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love, love. Love is all you need. There's nothing you can know that isn't known. Nothing you can see that isn't shown. There's nothing you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love, love. Love is all you need. Thank you so much for sticking with me during this. I just love talking about the Beatles. I can get carried away. Please like, love, subscribe, join the party. And just remember, keep on keeping on, live out loud, and embrace your kaleidoscope soul, because that's what the Beatles would want you to do. So do it. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a wonderful day.